Good day, grade 7 students. I am Sir John, and I will be here with you as we study about English. Tara, let's learn together. And all of you are welcome here in my English class. Before we start, let me ask everyone first. How are you today? As for your response to my question, kindly type it in our chat box and I will read it in our class. Or I will read some of your answers or responses here in our class. Okay, go. You can type in now. Okay. Some of your classmates or one of your classmates said that she is not doing good and because of a sickness, that's why she's not doing good. Well, I hope you can recover from whatever you're experiencing right now. Okay. Okay, one of your classmates said he is happy despite of the pandemic happening. Well, that's also good to know or good to hear that despite of this pandemic, you're still happy regardless of what is happening around us. Well, that's positivity that we can also be inspired of in having a mindset with a positive outlook in life. Okay, so I'm reading some of your answers here. Okay, well, thank you for all of your answers. Well, I hope all of you are doing well. Okay, and as well as for me, well, I'm also doing well. Getting there, doing well or getting there might not be so easy for some of you, but we're all praying and we're all hoping that everything will be fine. Okay, so just hang on there and pray. Moving on, as part of our daily reminder on what should we need to consider while attending our online classes are these simple netiquettes. So this is again just a reminder that I'm always saying to you in our class, and this is very important and for you to be reminded of, okay, regarding this netiquette. So let's have Sian to read numbers 1 and number 2. Okay, so let's have let's have Angela for number 3 and number 4. Okay, thank you. And lastly, for number 5 and number 6, let us have Rod. Okay. So again, these are just simple netiquettes or simple reminder for us. And this will also serve as our guide for us to be able to be somehow successful in terms of attending our online classes. And again, rules are rules. They need to be followed and they will help us to be somehow enlightened on our direction or in what should we need to do, okay, when again online classes are ongoing. Okay. For our checking off attendance, group leaders, can you take note of your members if they are not present today in our class? Remember, every time that you're attending our class will give you more understanding of the lesson, and at the same time, the more you also attend, the more points you're also going to gain. Okay? So, because I am also recording that as part of your performance for today or for that day. And as we go along our lesson today, all of you are expected to identify the useful tips that we need to use or that we need to be guided off when conducting an interview. But after that, you're also going to conduct your own set of interview with your partner by using or applying the guidelines that I will be sharing to you in our class, and that will be giving us the idea on what you need to do before, during, and after. And lastly, I will also be expecting that you're going to have a development in yourselves regarding respect on your partner or your interviewee when conducting an interview. Do you know Ella Nympha from The Voice Kids? Okay. Well, yan. Some of you said that they are familiar with Ella Nympha as one of the grand winners of the Voice Kids speech way back then. I think that was 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. Well, that's good that you're familiar with this one that I'll be sharing to you. So, I have here a short video clip that about her when she was invited in a show which is Little Big Shot. She was a guest in this American TV show. Then, kindly watch this video, and then later on, I will ask some of the questions that I have prepared regarding the video that you have watched. So, somehow, this will be a reminder that you need to watch the video carefully. Okay? So, this is now the video. Okay. So, for our guide questions, I'll be giving you 3 questions. So the first one is, what is the video all about? Again, what is the video all about? Then number 3, describe how the interviewer asked the questions. Again, describe how the interviewer asked questions. And lastly, regarding this video, do you think the interviewer is effective? And explain why. Again, do you think the interviewer is effective? And explain why. I'll give you 3 minutes to prepare for the answer, and after 3 minutes, I'll call some of you to answer the questions and share your answers to the class. Okay? And timer starts now. And thank you for your answers or sharing your answers to the class regarding the video and the guide questions that I have given to you. And moving forward, it's somehow expected of you that you have learned that the people are the sources of information, and an interview as a primary source is a way to gather information. This was just a recent lesson in your second quarter or second grading period lessons. And for today, or in this lesson that we're going to consider, so regarding the using of effective techniques in conducting an interview, okay? So all of you will be learning these effective ways or effective techniques regarding whether it is during, before, or even after an interview. Okay, so let us go deep on this particular one. Well, remember, during an interview, whether it's face-to-face or even virtual, asking the right questions helps you to get important information from the interviewee. Remember that the interviewee is the person who is being interviewed, okay? And you are the interviewer if you are the one asking questions, or maybe you're the ones doing the interview. And really, it helps you to somehow develop your confidence, since asking questions means you have to speak with people, okay? And to accomplish this particular thing that we're talking about, you must also plan the interview questions. So the following are some of the useful tips for you to remember as you conduct your interview, or these are the guidelines that you can use or that you can put into practice to have a successful interview. So what are the things that we need to do before the interview? Okay, kindly read the first point there, Jewel. Okay. Well, it's very important for you to get information from your interviewee, and that information will really give you an idea regarding her profile or his profile, and even the background of that person or your interviewee will help you to extract the questions that you need to ask them. And it's actually somehow based on the background or the idea or the information that you have heard from him or that you have learned from him, and somehow the question that you're going to ask them will be answered in the manner that you want them to answer somehow, because it's from them. It's the information and the questions are based on the background itself of the person. And then, if ever, another that we need to do before the interview. Yes, Jean, kindly read the second point. So that list of questions, okay, thank you, Jean. The list of questions that you're going to prepare will also give you a sense of confidence in terms of conducting the interview. Remember, if you're prepared with the questions that you're going to ask your interviewee regarding the subject or the issues that you're going to talk about, well, in that case, I think, or we may also consider that the confidence will be evident. Okay? That confidence will also help you to make your interview successful. Somehow, some of the people that are conducting interview are having a hard time in having an impromptu way of having an interview or conducting an interview. But here, as part of your reminders, and since some of you are not so confident enough in conducting an interview, the list of the questions that I'm saying here will be really a good help or a big help somehow. After knowing the things that we need to be reminded of before the interview, let's now move on to the things that we need to be reminded of naman in terms of during the interview. Okay, and this time I will be calling Mr. Joshua for reading or for us to hear the point number 1. Okay, thank you, Joshua. Make your interview comfortable. We need to be reminded of setting a good rapport with your interviewee, and that will be helping you to make your interviewee as honest as possible in terms of sharing his or her answer or what's on his or her mind. So it will also help you to make the conducting of interview somehow easy. Okay? No matter how serious the topic is, your interviewee can answer the questions that you're going to ask them confidently as well. Let's go to the second point. Okay, let's call Leslie. That's correct. Body language is very important, and you must be aware on what you are showing to your interviewee, right? In terms of your gestures or in terms of your non-verbal cues or non-verbal things that you're using or that you are doing in front of your interviewee. Maybe some of your bad languages are giving a signal to your interviewee that he or she may be not comfortable of or not comfortable with. And one of the things that you also can use or they can do is having that eye contact. I remember one of my professors said before that having this eye contact with your interviewee or all of those people that you're talking to will help them think that you are really listening to whatever he or she is saying to you. And that leads us to the next point here during the interview. And can you read the third point? Let's have Shamela. Okay. Mhm. So, for the point number 3, same with what you're doing as a student in our class, you must also take down some notes. Not everything that you're going to hear during an interview will stay on your mind, or not all of the things that he or she is saying you will be able to remember it. That's why taking down some notes will help you to remember all of the things that you're jotting down in your paper when you're going to have a review on the interview that you have conducted. Now, if you cannot take down some notes or write some of the notes there in the piece of paper, it's actually easy to find another way, which is using a voice recorder. So usually in your phones or in your mobile phones, you have there a voice recorder, and that is another or a plan B in terms of you're having hard time in terms of taking down some notes. And lastly, for the effective ways or techniques in conducting an interview, and this time is right after the interview. So the first point is you have to summarize the main points of your interview. So the question there is, why do you need to summarize? Well, of course, having a summary is a shorter version of all of the things that you have discussed during the interview. And remember, summarizing will become easy when you're doing the point that we have discussed a while ago during the interview, and that is taking down some notes. The notes that you have jotted down, that you have written down in your paper, or that you have recorded, will give you that particular ideas on what have you discussed or what have you talked about during the interview. And lastly, as a sign of gratitude, you have to thank the interviewee after you have asked all of your questions to them. Remember, they have allotted you the time that they have, maybe or despite of the busy schedules that he or she has. She has really allotted you time so that you can conduct an interview, okay? And you will be successful somehow. So it's a big help for you to conduct the interview by allowing them, okay, to be one of your interviewee. And again, be thankful for it. Be thankful to them, okay? So it's not going to be a requirement, but again, as a sign of gratitude, thanking is a must. For our activity today, we'll have this simple one, which is you're just going to listen to the sample video interview that I have prepared for you, and this is between a student and a local expert. Now, you have to observe the questions that is being asked by the interviewer during the interview, and then also identify some of the effective techniques that you have seen or that you have observed from this interview. Well, of course, you're going to base some of your answers about or regarding the things that we have discussed a while ago, the before, the during, and the after. Okay, for you to share what are the techniques that you have observed from this interview. So if you have your headsets on your ear, it will be helping you to better listen, okay, or to hear this sample video interview that I have prepared for you. Okay, so listen carefully.
Mr. Javier, you know that everyone is greatly concerned about pollution. I lived in Mindanao last year, but I think the pollution is worse in the cities. To what extent is air polluted in Metro Manila, sir?
Indeed, the quality of air in Metro Manila is very poor. Our studies here in DENR show that the air around Metro Manila contains up to 3 times the volumes of pollutants in what should be normal or healthy air for us to breathe.
May I know what these pollutants are?
There are 6 major ones: carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, lead, particulates, and the total oxidants.
Oh, I must take down all of them. How do this pollution get into the air, sir?
Here in Metro Manila, motor vehicles are the dominant sources of pollution. Our study shows that diesel-fueled vehicles are the primary sources of particulate matter. Gasoline-powered vehicles, on the other hand, are the main sources of land pollutants.
It's my first time to hear about particulate matter. What is it, sir?
Particulate matter is made up of all sorts of tiny particles in the air, like dust and the ashfall from Mount Pinatubo. What we see coming out of the smoke-belching jeepneys and buses are, in fact, millions of tiny pieces of burnt oil and fuel.
Why should we be concerned about air pollutants?
You see, particulate matter has been found to be the most damaging to our health. It can cause cancer and pulmonary diseases. Lead, too, poses a health hazard, especially to children. Studies have shown that the children with high levels of lead experience more behavioral problems and decreased ability to concentrate. So don't be out in the streets so often.
I learned so much from you, sir. Thank you for sharing your expertise with me.
You're welcome. See you again.
Ayan. So remember, while you're watching the video, you're trying to notice or you're trying to observe some of the effective techniques that you have learned also from our discussion a while ago. And okay, kindly share to the class what you have observed and what could be present in the interview that you have heard a while ago, that you have listened a while ago on the effective techniques. Okay, well, some of you have already used his or her knowledge or the one that they have remembered from our class a while ago, and some of them are really on point. Well, the interview that you have listened to is not a really perfect kind of interview, but of course, the reason why we're learning on the effective techniques is for you to really improve on the interview that you're going to conduct on or in the future. So again, this will really be helpful for you, and this is already gathered ideas or best practices of most of the interviewers when they're conducting an interview. And we have here another task for our class. So this is your activity number 2, wherein you're going to find a partner, and then you're going to interview your partner, or you're going to interview one another regarding their stand about the issue on online distance learning. So you're going to agree upon that the topic on what you're going to have as part of your interview is regarding your stand, okay, in terms of the online distance learning nowadays because of the pandemic. And of course, by applying the things that we have discussed a while ago, you have first to make a list of at least 3 to 5 questions that you like to ask for your partner. So you have to prepare for the 3 to 5 questions that we're talking about. Okay? And then everyone will be given 5 minutes only to answer the given questions to each other. So 5 minutes for your partner and 5 minutes for you. So all in all, this activity will be in 10 minutes, okay, or less if you can finish earlier. And then for you to be guided in terms of this activity, you have to look at the rubrics that I'll be giving later on in terms of conducting the interview. Remember, this rubrics again will guide you for you to achieve the points or the score that you want to be recorded to you as for your score in this activity. For you and your partner, of course, you will be the one earning the points that I'll be giving. So this is the rubrics that we will be using. So the rubrics that we are going to use in conducting an interview will be focused on the interview questions that you have prepared. Well, the questions that you have prepared must be an open-ended questions, and maybe there will be some follow-ups, of course, regarding your main questions to your interviewee. And these are used to draw interesting and relevant information from the interviewee. And you will be given 5 points if you have achieved an excellent level of making the interview questions. And the next part of the rubrics that we have is regarding the organization of interview. So the questions are arranged in a clear and logical manner. And if you're going to look at this one, it's very important for you to have a sequence, okay, or have a good arrangement of the questions when you're going to ask your interviewee. That's why it's very important for you to be organized in terms of conducting an interview, and you will be given 5 points if you have achieved an excellent level of achieving this part or criteria of the rubrics. Okay, I am very glad and feeling great after going into some of your interview that you have conducted with your partner, okay, using our breakout rooms a while ago. And for that, you're going to really be making some improvements or maybe adjustments for the next time that you're going to conduct an interview. Okay, and after that we have finished your tasks for today, let's now move on in having a short quiz. Well, don't worry, some of the questions that I have here, or some of the things that you need to answer for our short quiz, will be, of course, related or connected to the ones that we have discussed, or maybe the ones that you have applied, okay, during your activity, or the two activities that we have used or done a while ago. Okay, so what you're going to do with this short quiz, first is you need to identify if the questions that are from number 1 to number 5, or that are written from the number 1 to number 5, is effective or ineffective. Now, for that, you have to check the appropriate box that I have prepared in the first column, and then improve the question if it is ineffective. So if you think that the question that I have provided in your short quiz is ineffective, okay, you're going to improve it. So you're going to change something if you still need to get rid of some of the words, maybe, for you to be able to make the question more effective compared to the first one. So kindly write it down on the table, and let's have this example for you to use it as your guide. So the question is runny nose a symptom of COVID-19? So first thing is you need to identify if it is effective or ineffective. So this is an ineffective question. So what are you going to do for you to improve this particular question? So the improved questions now will be, what are the most common symptoms of COVID-19? So as you see, there is a lot of the changes that you have made for you to be able to improve the question that is for you somehow is ineffective. So the same manner or the same way on how you're going to answer the numbers 1 to number 5. So this short quiz is actually posted already in your Google Classroom. Okay, so don't forget to turn in your works, or don't forget to turn in your short quizzes for today, so that I will be acknowledging if you are finished with the short quiz. And after that, we'll be going back here in our meeting for us to be ending our class with some of the questions or some of the things that I am also going to share to you. After our short quiz, let's move on to the part wherein you're going to have some reflections or maybe think about something or the things that you're going to ponder on or ponder about. And this will be your question for today's topic. How will you show respect when conducting an interview? How will you show respect when conducting an interview? So if you have some answers that you want to share to the class, kindly raise your hand using our button here so that I will be acknowledging you and calling your name for you to be able to share to the class. Okay? For us to be disciplined in terms of answering this question. As we end, or as a summary in terms of our lesson today, so I'll be asking you this question for us to wrap up this session today. What are some of the effective techniques that you have remembered when conducting interviews? Again, what are some of the effective techniques that you have remembered when conducting interviews? So, if you have listened carefully to my discussion a while ago and you're paying attention and somehow being engaged with the discussion that we have, this question will be very easy for you. So for those who are not listening a while ago, this will also help you to be reminded of the things that we have discussed then a while ago. So same thing that you're going to do, just raise your hand for you to be acknowledged and called, and that's the time that you're going to share your answer to the class. Okay? Lastly, before we really go and have your lunches, is you need to be oriented regarding the performance task that you need to do, and this will be submitted 2 weeks from now. So you still have more time for you to prepare, and that's also the reason why I'm telling you the instructions or the directions you're going to consider when making your performance task. So first is that for you to practice the guidelines in conducting the interview that we have discussed a while ago, you're going to interview an expert on any field, just like the sample video that I have given you a while ago. So whether it's a teacher, whether it's a nurse, an engineer, or other expert of any field that maybe you know, maybe that you're related of, okay? So that will be very easy for you to find one, okay? The one that you're going to interview. Imagine you will produce a 5-minute informative podcast about your interviewee's expertise. So your goal here in our performance task is to produce a podcast. You can use the one that I have given a while ago, wherein the face of the interviewee and the interviewer is not visible in the video. But since this is a podcast, you don't need to pick a video of it. So it's just a voice record of the conducting of the interview that you have with the expert on any field that you have chosen. So here are some of the reminders that you're going to use for you to be able to be successful in your performance task. So we have the ready, record, reflect, together with the rubrics. Okay, first is you need to accomplish the interview plan, that one that you have on your screen. Okay, so that will serve as your guide. Accomplish it, and then provide the interviewee with the copy of the interview questions that you have prepared. Syempre to allow him or her to prepare for the answers. Okay, so it will just give them some ideas then for him or her to be prepared also when saying to you her or his answer. And then remember to use open-ended questions. let's say for example, what advice would you give someone who like to follow a similar career to yours? Okay? Well, if ever that there is a smartphone or any sound recorder that is available, you can use it to record your interview. Okay? So it will be very helpful for you. Okay? And then you can also use your recording to complete the last part of your interview plan. Okay? Wherein you're going to write the interviewee's answer. So when you're going to replay the recorded sound or the recorded interview that you have conducted, okay, so it will be helping you to go back and write down the answer of your interviewee. Okay, and remember to use a direct speech. Okay, and also write the exact answers of your interviewee. So no need to put additional things. So just the original and the exact answer of your interviewee. Okay, the one that you're going to use and write down in accomplishing the last part of your interview plan. Okay, well, after the interview, reflect on the questions that I have here. Okay, so one is what was it like to interview someone? Which of the tips or guidelines did you use, and how did it help you as an interviewer? Okay, so just 2 questions. Okay, so for you to reflect on. And remember, the same rubric that we have used in our activity number 2 a while ago will be the one as your guide for you to know how your output will be graded. Okay, again, the rubrics will be your guide in terms of how are you going to be graded on your performance task. And that's it for today. So don't forget to be responsible in accomplishing your task, particularly the performance task that I have given a while ago. Even though you have 2 weeks to work on it, so be sure to submit it on time or follow the deadline that I have given to you as your schedule. So thank you for attending my class, and we'll see each other again next week.